Welcome back to The Gloves Are Off. Lance Phillips, Josh Ryan. We're talking Sidney Crosby right now, and Sidney Crosby could be, well, I believe strongly, he is the greatest player of our generation. He's an incredible talent. He is 3 points away from 1,000. He currently sits at 997 career points. He can become the 86th player in NHL history to reach 1,000. Alex Ovechkin did it earlier this season. Where, though, is when Sidney Crosby's career is done, and let's not even talk about that, let's just talk about the present. Where does Sidney Crosby rank all time? And now you don't have to put a number on it, but where is he when we talk great NHL hockey players?
I'm glad you said don't put a number on it, because I think it's ridiculous to put a number on players when they haven't finished their career, especially maybe when they're a little close to the end of their career, but assuming he's staying healthy, he's probably going to be an elite player for 3, 4, 5 more years, and that could change his legacy drastically. I think it's safe to say in some aspect he's probably a top 25 player of all time at least, because I would agree with you, he's the greatest player of this post-2006 lockout generation. I know we had another lockout, but that only lasted half the season.
Right.
Since the 2005-2006 season and on, he has been the best player in the NHL, bar none. And even though his stats are not what, say, the Gretzkys and the Messiers,
and the
Currys and such of that era, the Lemieux, this is such a tough era to play in when the guys are so much bigger, the equipment's bigger, they're faster, the conditioning is different, and the parity in the league has changed so drastically from where it was. When he's all said and done, you almost want to argue guys based on how good were they in their decade. You know, the Rocket was the greatest player for a time in the league, and then Gordie Howe took over for a time, and then it was Phil Esposito or Bobby Orr maybe for a time, and then Gretzky for a period, and then you could maybe argue someone like a Lemieux or even a Sakic for a time. Crosby's been the greatest of a chunk of an era for the NHL, and I think that cements him certainly among the greatest to ever play the game.
We're not going to talk about him, but it's interesting you mentioned about for a time, because when Sidney Crosby does retire, the next in line, as the twilight of Sidney Crosby's career kind of moves to his career comes to an end, could be Connor McDavid. We're not going to get into that, but I just thought it was interesting you mentioned about a time, because Connor McDavid's time is coming, and it's partially here now. But Sid Crosby is easily a Hall of Famer. Would you agree with that?
Oh, it's no doubt.
It's just set the plaque up now.
He was one of the only players nominated into the greatest 100 NHLers of all time that I went. That's okay for him. Him and Ovechkin were the two that I thought have had good enough careers and put up enough points and had enough accolades at this point in their careers that it's okay for them to be mentioned in the 100 greatest. There were some others I didn't agree with on that list, but for me, Sid Crosby was a no-brainer.
It's impressive what he's done over his career, and the thing that's most compelling is what could he have done if he hadn't missed, I believe, 113 games
with
to
a concussion,
injury,
yes,
with concussion issues, and this is where we see a different game than we did when Wayne Gretzky played. If Sidney Crosby had played in the same type of hockey, same type of NHL that Wayne Gretzky did, would he have been anywhere close to the great one as far as numbers are concerned?
That's such a hard thing to say because the conditioning is different. So you don't know for sure that Crosby has the same level of conditioning, the same body type. Maybe he doesn't grow up inspired by the same guys and has a different kind of inspiration growing up to be a great hockey player. So it's so tough to tell. I do think that there's some players, and Don Cherry, I believe, has said this, where certain players are so great in there that they just fit into any era. I think the Rocket Richard would have been great no matter what era he played. Gordie Howe would have been great no matter what era he played. And Gretzky, even though he's a smaller guy, was so silky smooth and so smart, he would have been great whatever era he played. Crosby fits in that mold as well. It doesn't matter what decade he would have been born in some form or another, he would have been an all-time great.
Let's try this again. That was a solid point. On the other side, fair or foul. We're talking tennis, maybe some other stuff.